Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or whatever time you're listening to us or watching this video, obviously. Welcome to another episode of the Down in the Valley podcast. My name is Edson Ochoa, and we are starting our first episode of actual in-game analysis for the RGVFC Toros. We will be discussing last Sunday's match against Las Vegas Lights. Just wanted to invite you all to make sure let y'all know to be sure to follow us on all of our social media at Down in the RGV on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok as well, and be sure to check out our audio podcasts on your favorite podcasting platform. And it's been a strange couple of days. The last days, pardon the redundancy, for me. I honestly was kind of debating whether to do this show or not, mostly because personal reasons. You guys followed my social media, my personal social media. Unfortunately, my senior cat passed away yesterday morning. So if I look a little bit off today, that's pretty much what it is. I'm still kind of feeling the effects of the fact that she's no longer with me. But I felt like you guys, it's of no fault to you guys for me to just cancel or delay the show. So, it is what it is. And we're here, to talk about the Toros and inform you all about this team, because there really is a lot to talk about. This game, both on and off the pitch, and off the pitch, we'll talk a little bit right now. But before we get started, let's go ahead and say hello to my good friend and co-host of the show, Jacob Young. Jacob, how you doing?
Doing great. Looking forward to talking some soccer. And it's going to be an interesting show for sure. Yeah, we got a couple of things to cover 100%. And once again, looking forward to another game on Sunday as well.
So right off the bat, you look at this game at face value, and you see a 1-1 against the Las Vegas Lights, who coming into this season, like I mentioned last week, it was full of questions in regards to the fact that, we didn't even know if Las Vegas was going to be affiliated with LAFC. Were they going to become independent? They ended up deciding going independent, and they had to pretty much, fill up a roster at the last minute. Why does that sound so familiar? Anyway, but going into this match, I felt really confident. I felt that RGVFC, with the squad that did come back, with the firepower that was shown, I really did feel like this was going to be a positive outcome for this home opening match. Unfortunately, the omen wasn't that great going into this game. And the first thing I kind of want to talk about real quick, and I want to discuss with you, Jacob, is there were multiple fans that mentioned, including my family as well. So this isn't something that isn't just hearsay. We did kind of go through it ourselves, but there were some issues regarding the general admission ticket prices, confusion, lack of communication, whatever you want to call it. So RGVFC had promoted and advertised on their social media. There was a promotion of $5 tickets, buy one, get one free. Unfortunately, from what I can see, and I'm going to try and pull up the graphic right now, straight from the Toros. But it wasn't obvious in the graphics that they posted that the promotion was going to be for a limited time. You had to pretty much click the FIVO link, and on there, that's what it would tell you, that the promotion was only until March the 10th, which was on that particular Friday. For example, if you look at their tweet that they sent out March the 8th, they say one ticket buy one ticket, get one free. And they say only 3 days until our home opener. There is no mention of a certain deadline. You click on the graphic that contains the link, or you look at it. There is no mention that the deadline for the promotion was going to be March the 10th. So what happens is that fans, and like I said, including my family, go up to the box office thinking that the promotion was still valid. And even then, I was actually, we went to go out to go eat after church, right? And on there, I clicked on their, their link in the website that actually goes to the ticket selling portal, right? And general admission tickets were still being advertised there that they could be bought for $5, right? So instead, my parents usually decide to go straight to box office and buy them there. Lo and behold, they get there, and the person that was attending them at the box office tells them, "Oh, we don't have $5 tickets anymore." Right? So they end up buying the tickets for a much more expensive price. I think they paid like $15 each per ticket. And like I said, this isn't an isolated incident. This was a little bit more commonplace than I think felt like it should have. Am I saying that this was a false advertisement? Absolutely not. Because, like I said, you had to click the link. But I do feel, I don't know what you think, Jacob, and I'll get your thoughts on it real quick. I do feel like they need to be more transparent and make it more obvious when they're promoting that these particular promotions, which I've said that it's a good thing that the team is doing, but these promotions need to be able to say, whether it's on the actual tweet or on the graphic itself, to say promotion valid only until so and so date, right? Because I think the majority of the people probably don't have social media, and two, a lot of people are still kind of reluctant to go and use these online services to buy tickets, right? So they think, oh, they see $5 general admission. Well, they want to go, the day of, and lo and behold, it's not valid anymore. What do you think, Jacob?
Well, I think you said it pretty earlier as well. The transparency. That's a key word. Transparency does need to be clear, 100%. And I mean, it goes back to, I've been able to this season attend a ton of Vipers games. And one thing that I do see on their social medias, especially for Wednesday games and sometimes Tuesday games as well, as even Thursday games that they have, they're promoting $5 tickets to $7 tickets. Sometimes it varies on those days. But the thing is that the Vipers are able to put is the offer valid until game day. Or it's around that time that they always say that it's only valid until midnight this day. Okay. At least the people understand. And we've seen crowds at Bird Ogden Arena very full, on the lower bowl, at least sometimes the higher bowl. But again, my point still stands that they're getting people in even with those cheap tickets. Now, as for the Vipers, as for the Toros, like you said, when they post those things, they do not say offer valid until game day, offer valid until 2 days till game day. And so that's frustrating when you're a fan and you're thinking, okay, it's still valid. Then you check as well as online. They're saying it's still valid here online. Okay, I don't necessarily have to buy it online. Let me go in to the box office and buy the tickets there because I don't want to spend extra money on fees. Turns out it's not valid. So then you're going to get mad at an organization because of something that they weren't able to realize they haven't done, which is to tell people this is a deadline, buy your tickets now, and it's going to be $5. So that's the most frustrating thing out of my eyes, is that you have one side doing a fantastic job with that, the other side trying their best, but failing still. in stuff that should have already been taken care of and understood because they got to see it from their neighbor's perspective that was literally a street down. So that's where it's very frustrating to me. Even though they're doing a good job, it's just they don't post enough, and they are not, just like a giveaway, they're not posting the rules. It ends by this day.
Yeah, it's just and it's just simple. It's just something simple. I mean, it's nothing out of the ordinary. If you look at other, I guess as you could say, if you look at other bigger companies, brands, like if you go to T-Mobile or any other company, and they have a promotion, it's gonna be in small letters, yeah, but they do post valid. This offer is valid only from this date to this date, or this is valid for new customers only. You get the point. But any little disclaimer or where these promotions are not going to be valid anymore or anything like that, they are posted. Why? Because it limits your liability for the omission of information, right? So that's basically what we're kind of letting whoever's in charge of ticketing and of course marketing as well know that, you know, while my parents did end up buying the tickets anyway, begrudgingly, and my mom was begrudging about that, but there were probably a lot of people that you tell them that and they decide, okay, you know what? I'm not buying the tickets anymore, even though they were already there at the stadium. But just the fact that they weren't told that the prices weren't going to be that anymore, and it's like, you know what? I'm not giving them my money, right? So hopefully this will be fixed for next time. I don't know if this is gonna. Hopefully we don't have the same thing happening with these 4 for 40 promotion that they're pushing for this Sunday's match. But hopefully we give them enough time to kind of get that sorted out for this promotion and for any other promotions they might have down in the pipeline for future matches. But anyway, now let's get back to everything that happened on the pitch, where I think we spent enough time talking off the pitch. So continuing with this situation of kind of like a bad omen kind of thing about this game, that things weren't going to be as well as we thought. I did run into the information, and of course, the lineup that FOTMob published confirmed that we were going to have a lot of starters that were going to be not even on the bench for this match. Players like Juan David Cabezas, Christian Pinzon, Wahab Akwe, even newcomer Gabriel Benitez and the Venezuelan international were not even on the bench, reportedly because of injuries. Thank you, Ricky Ruiz, for actually confirming that in post-game press conference. I know Wilmer kind of danced around the situation or on saying that they were for actual injuries, but Ricky Ruiz did say, yeah, they're out for injuries. Hopefully they can get them back to health up for the next game. But we'll talk about post-game reactions later on. But yes, they were out due to injuries, reportedly because they got knocked. They got some knocks in their game against Austin FC 2. By the way, they did play aggressively in that game, so I wasn't surprised when I heard that. But anyway, what that actually happened is that you were left with a lot of bench warmers. Mm-hmm. Hold on, never mind. Let me take that back because I don't want to. Because then they're going to be like, I don't want for what happened to you last year to happen to me this year, Jacob. But a lot of rotation
Second
players,
team, yeah, mm-hmm.
Yeah, a lot of rotation players end up having to get starting minutes right off the bat going into the season. So the starting 11 for this match was Tyler Derrick, which was no surprise, obviously. Jonathan Ricketts. And one thing about Jonathan Ricketts was that Jonathan Ricketts, I don't know if you guys saw this last post-game reactions video that I posted on Monday, but Jonathan Ricketts actually played with a stomach flu while having the stomach flu, which is the reason why he got subbed out early in the match. Could be a situation, the fact that because they were down on numbers, I guess the player kind of felt like he wanted to take one for the team and kind of try and see how he would play, even while feeling under the weather. And that's exactly what happened. But yeah, like I said, Jonathan Ricketts out on the right wing. Then you had Frank Nadarce and Eric Pimentel as your center backs. Tomas Ritandale out on left back. I thought that was a surprise, considering that you had also Robert Coronado in the lineup, and we know that Robert Coronado, when he was originally with RGVFC and of course with OKC Energy, he played mostly as a left back. So I thought that was surprising to see Tomas Ritandale get some minutes in this match. You had three midfielders with Gringo Torres, Taylor Davila, and Robert Coronado, like I mentioned. But the biggest surprise was that Robert Coronado was playing more of a 10 role rather than a true midfielder role. So Coronado playing a center attacking midfield position. At least that's how it looked like in his positioning overall as the first half started, rather than more of a regular or defensive midfielder, as he was more known back when he was playing in college, right? And then up on top, you had Wilmer Cabrera Jr., Cristiano Francois as their striker, and of course, Ricky Ruiz out in your right wing position. So what were your thoughts on this starting 11?
Couple things. Shocked, of course, right off the bat. Obviously, we knew that there was going to be some concerns once we saw the roster with a couple of players being before, of course, the game. I was thinking, yeah, probably injured. We'll see. We'll ask the questions post game presser. Of course, we all know that Ricky Ruiz said, yeah, no, they were injured. That's why they did not start. But of course, moving on, it was going to be one of those games where it's time to step up again for these young players. It's going to be early, but it's time for them to step up and give us 3 points at home, because this is almost a must-win situation in our first game. I know it's crazy to say, but again, you want to win your home opener. You want to win your home games and things like that to start off on a positive note instead of a negative note by losing or anything of that sort. So it was definitely one of those situations where we knew that this team had to rally together no matter what. And of course, one of our players even starting, which would be Jonathan Ricketts, well, being sick. We all know we've all had a stomach flu before. We've all had a stomach bug before, and we all know what it was like the 24 hours before the next day, and then the next day us feeling terrible because we are dehydrated as can be. So definitely felt for Jonathan Ricketts when everything was all said and done, and he figured out, oh crap, I cannot play because I just don't feel good. And so being subbed off very quickly in that first half, that's of course a big note. It's basically almost like the game was kind of delayed, but there was not a 40-minute half. Instead, it was a little bit later. So that other guy basically started the game instead of Jonathan Ricketts in a sense. So yeah, it was definitely one of those situations where we were going to have to see our second team have to step up a little bit more, because our first team was just literally non-existent because they were injured and resting up for potentially a game against Oakland Roots. Hopefully we can see some of them back in the starting lineup this weekend. But of course, we're talking about last weekend against Las Vegas Lights with that lineup.
So I don't know. I feel like we're back with this whole, and I think I mentioned it on Sunday after the game.
I feel that we're back in this whole conundrum, being scared of the fact that we've got injuries early in the season again. It happened to us last season, and we were depleted at that time, and now with a much with a smaller squad size, we're running into this situation again. It's not. I don't think it's a good start to any season. To have into the situation of, okay, so now that a lot of our key players from the starting 11 are out, I mean, it's now you have to rely on the rotation players to kind of step up, which is a bad thing, but it's also a good thing, right? Because now you're in a real situation, a real game with a lot of fans, with the actual game speed of competition, and now you get to see these players in that kind of environment, how they're going to react, how they handle the pressures, these typical scenarios of, like, say you're down or you were up a goal. How are you going to react? How are you going to gel with the rest of your teammates? And the reason I'm pointing this out is because RGVFC, right off the bat, as the game began, 4 minutes in, now they find themselves backpedaling when an own goal opened the scoreline for Las Vegas Lights.
Yep.
Now, despite my initial reaction at that time, looking back into that play, now I see it as just an unfortunate circumstance that just kind of went the wrong way for RGVFC. Because to me, Eric Pimentel did the correct thing. You know, he had no Las Vegas player that was coming in to get that ball. And he, you know, your first intention as a defender, as a center back, is to clear that ball away from your box immediately upfield.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what Eric Pimentel did. Unfortunately, Taylor Davila just happened to be, you know, to run right in front of the trajectory of the ball and deflects that ball into the back of the net. Mm-hmm. You know, but what we ended up seeing after the game was a situation where you notice that these experienced players like Cabezas, like Pinzon, really were missing, or the team did miss them, because the team fell into a sort of disorganization. They kind of fell trap of the high pressure from Las Vegas Lights. They found themselves, you know, missing simple passes or simple trappings of the ball because of the high pressure. They couldn't handle, right, the pressure of being down a goal just the way that it happened, that it was harakiri and not really because of something that Las Vegas created on their goal.
Well, apparently we were watching two different games. That's because I agree with you for that fact in the first half completely. That we really did see in that first half that all of our starters that were supposed to be on the first team in this first game were missing. That was the case. They didn't have that possession. They were backpedaling the whole time. The own goal. I mean, it's like those things that you would witness in potentially preseason matches. Because it's just the growing pains of this team, of that chemistry of that group trying to get just used to each other is the best word to put it out. Now in the second half, this team looked completely different, and they looked more used to each other than in that first half, considering the fact that yes, you got that the equalizing goal in the first half, but then they felt more used to each other because there were more completed passes in the second half than there actually was basically in that first half, of course. I mean, you're talking about 79.2% for the whole game of passes completed, that success rate. So I call that a little bit of a win.
Oh yeah, but we're gonna get to the second half, but I just kind of wanted to show, like, immediately after the goal, you know,
Yeah,
a
they
lot
were
of
still-
times, you know, we always talk about how the importance of having experienced players out there on the field to help guide these younger players in those negative situations, to make sure that they don't have that drop as drastic as it appeared to be on Sunday.
Yeah.
Right after, I guess you could say maybe like 20 minutes later, things started to get a little bit level. RGV kind of started to try to string some attacks, but it just was, the problem is that there was some disorganization up front. And the reason I say this, let me see, actually, hold on. Which video was it? I think it's this one. So let's play this one. So this is 11 minutes in, right? And this is what I'm telling y'all right now. Okay, so Las Vegas has the ball. RGV is able to get that ball back, but they lose it immediately. But look where everybody is. Look where all the midfielders are at. You've got, let me set it back, right? And then pause it. So you've got, in the final third of this play of the field, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 players. You got 8 players in the final third, including Frank Nadarce, who's the center back, including Taylor Davila, who is pretty much, you know, in three quarters of the field. And so what ends up happening is, when RGVFC loses the ball, like, so you see right there where the Las Vegas defender had that ball, Taylor Davila's there. He's supposed to be the center defensive midfielder. What's he doing that far up? So what happens, Las Vegas passes the ball up high right there. You see there's some pressure from RGV trying to get that ball back. But what happens is they send a through ball over to this player, and there's a lot of field open ahead of him.
Yeah.
And that led RGV to be susceptible to the counterattacks. And that's what I mean by disorganization. I felt like everybody wanted to go and get that equalizer, but they got really desperate and making these kinds of decisions that were leaving them exposed. And frankly, Las Vegas, the way that they set themselves up in the first half, with let me get the what's his player, Ayimbila, who was the left outside back for Las Vegas. He went up and down through the field as he pleased, helping up in the attack and coming back to defend. Why? Because there was just so much space up ahead, and to try to exploit his speed and trying to exploit for opportunities for Las Vegas Lights, right? So, and I want to say, let me see if this next one. So this is another situation. This is in the 20th minute, where RGV clears the ball out, right? And so then what happens is that when the ball gets crossed in, right? So they get the ball, they recross it. You end up seeing that Taylor Davila loses his marker, right? He's just standing there, and so now you've got Kinsner, and then I believe that was also Ricky. So you had Ricky defending a cross because of the disorganization in the back, and that left you exposed. And then I believe there's another situation much later. No, this is actually the goals for Ricky. We'll talk about that later. But there was another situation. I don't remember if it was that one or not. But another cross into the box from a corner kick, and Ricky Ruiz had to be the defender to try and jump and try and get the ball. And you know that Ricky isn't the tallest player in the team to be defending some aerial attacks for RGV from Las Vegas Lights. So there was a lot of disorganization in that first half, but I think it all got better as time progressed. And then that goal by Ricky Ruiz, which I'm going to show you right now, you see that Las Vegas has the ball and Gringo Torres wins the ball, gets the ball to Cristiano, who opens it up for Ricky, cuts inside and sends that cross that Paz was unable, or Diaz was unable to stop. Such a beautiful goal. Okay, I don't know who he was trying to shush there, but I guess only he knows. Hopefully it's not us. But yeah, it was a really good goal, and that kind of set precedence for what would happen in the second half. What are your thoughts, Jacob?
Yeah, I mean, of course, Ruiz gets the goal, the crazy left-footed shot in the back of the net. And it is true that RGVFC all of a sudden got it going. And I mean, you're right about even in that first half, them still backpedaling, should have been down 2. I said it in the post-game show, where they should have been down 2-0 in that first half before getting a goal by Ricky Ruiz. Luckily, they did not. You showed exactly a perfect clip of RGFC just having way too much space, or giving Las Vegas Lights way too much space in the open field off of a breakaway. It's what we, of course, call it in just any sport when that happens. And then going back, yeah, it did. Once RGFC kind of got that control, got the possession, we're able to really just focus up. No water break, no nothing. Beautiful evening. They just all of a sudden started to click. It might have been because Las Vegas decided to try to drop back, but they were in control for most of that first half. So RGVFC being able to kind of take that control away, level that playing field, and really just kind of be on, take that momentum away and be on the up and up kind of before halftime. And during halftime, really having that advantage of, oh, this team could score that go-ahead goal in the second half was a big time switch for sure.
So that gives a perfect segue, right? So the Ricky Ruiz goal happened a couple of seconds before the halftime whistle, and so what ended up happening is that Wilmer, he obviously talked to the players, right? He told them, we need to be more aggressive. We need to be out there in those 50-50 tackles. We need to fight for the ball. We need to be a lot calmer when it comes to managing the possession of the ball, passing the ball around. It seemed like, as I mentioned, he felt like they were all going at 100 miles per hour, but with no control. Kind of like me driving an ARCA car and I racing. I already tried it, Jacob. I keep spinning out. It's definitely completely different compared to the next gen car. But so what happened is that there was a tactical change that Wilmer Cabrera made for the second half, or at least to me, it was notorious, right? So my question number one in the first half, right, and even in the second half, right, but why was Wilmer Jr. out as a wing when historically he's been more in the middle, whether it's a center striker or an attacking midfielder? Or at least I remember when he was in Toros in 2018, I remember him as a center attacking midfielder and not really out in the wing. So that caught me off guard. And Cristiano Francois, who is historically a striker or a center attacking midfielder, or correct, scratch that. Cristiano Francois, who's usually a winger, out on the, I want to say it was the right. When I was looking at Transfer Market, they said historically he's played more as a right winger. They had him as a center striker. I don't know if the plan by Wilmer Cabrera in the first half was try to get some long balls over to Cristiano Francois and let his strength and speed kind of win those balls, but it clearly was not working, because whenever they did try those long balls, Cristiano Francois was unable to get past the defense, whenever he did, he created a foul first, which invalidated the play. And Wilmer Cabrera Jr. Don't get me started for fear that I'm going to get in trouble. But no, honestly, he did nothing. He did very little in the first half. He was disappeared. And I recall I made that mention in the first half up in the press box where you did not see him at all. So what did Wilmer Cabrera do going into the second half? He moved those pieces around. So instead of it being a line of 4 like it was in the back at the beginning, he changed it to a line of 5, which makes sense, right? Because you've got 3 center backs already. You took out Jonathan Ricketts because of his illness, and you bring Eric Kinzer, who's also a center back. So originally, when you played the line of 4, you had Frank Nodarce out as a right back. So now what do? Okay, you grab Robert Coronado, who was playing as an attacking midfielder, and you put him as a right wing back. So a player that's going to come up and down and help on the attack and help defend in the second half. You've got your 3 center backs with Nodarce, Puma, and Eric Kinzner. And then you've got Tomas Rotindali to also be able to go up and down as he pleased. Because if you notice, Jacob, Tomas Rotindale was actually up on top a whole lot more in that second half, helping create some clear opportunities on goal for RGVFC. So you put in the line of 5, you stay with 2 midfielders, which were Taylor Davila and Gringo Torres, and then up on top you've got obviously Cristiano Francois, Wilmer Cabrera Jr., and Ricky Ruiz. The difference is that now Wilmer Cabrera Jr. had some help from Tomas Rotindale up on top to help kind of get some of that coverage away from Wilmer Jr. What did that also help? I talked about in the first half how the outside back for Las Vegas Lights was free to come up and down as he pleased. So now what happened is that now RGVFC has the momentum, and they're bringing up their outside backs as well to help out on the attack. Well, now Ayimbila, 1, he has a yellow, and number 2, because you've got the players coming up, now he doesn't have the freedom to move up and help distribute the attack up on top anymore. He has to stay in the back because you've got 2 players coming at you from RGVFC on that wing. If Ayimbila goes up to help attack, now you're leaving the player who kind of takes over his position while he's helping up in the attack. Now you're leaving him against 2. So you don't have that liberty to go up and down anymore. And that's what gave RGV the momentum early in the second half. And you notice it because Las Vegas in the second half, they only had 4 total shots in the second half. 2 of them were on target. One of them was a free kick by Mr. Insurrection himself, Andrew Carlton, and the second was another shot by Andrew Carlton, but that was up until the 80th minute. And other than that, it really wasn't a lot of danger for RGVFC. And the flip side, RGVFC, the first 15 minutes or less than 15 minutes, they had a total. I have it here. They had a total, I want to say, like 6 shots in less than 15 minutes trying to find that go-ahead goal in the beginning of the second half, including this one. And this is where I'm going to show you. So this is in the 50th minute, right? Nodarce has the ball, and then Gringo Torres, if I'm not mistaken, gives the ball over to Wilmer Cabrera, who's out here kind of taking that center attacking position or drifting that way. He's getting into the center, right? He attracts the mark from this defender. He receives the ball, and right away, he passes the ball out to the wing. Why? Because Tomas Rotindale is right there, free to go up and into the box, try to find that cross into the box, which he does. Yeah. Lands towards Ricky Ruiz all alone inside the box. But unfortunately, and the reason why that ball did not go into the net is that you have to remember Ricky is a lefty. So he tried to get that shot, and you'll see it right now in the close-up. Ricky Ruiz tried to hit that ball into the net with his left foot instead of just redirecting it with his right foot. And that is why when you look at it right now, and when they show the replay anytime now, come on, there we go. All right, so there's the cross by Tomas Rotindale, and see how Ricky Ruiz tries to shoot that ball with the left foot. Had he redirected with the right foot, the ball would have taken the direction back towards the goal and into the back of the net. Unfortunately, it looks like Ricky is a player that is almost 100% lefty. As we say in Mexico, his right foot solamente lo usa para subirse al camión, and that's about it. But that's pretty much the reason why Ricky Ruiz was unable to get that ball into the back of the net. But all of that was a factor because the tactical changes that Wilmer Cabrera made in the second half.
Yeah. I mean, a lot to unpack there. It's true. Yeah, if it's not for him being a lefty, of course, there's the pros and cons. The pro is, he does score that second half goal, but does he score that first half goal now? Probably not, because he's not a lefty. And then, of course, RGVFC had more opportunities in on goal to get that go ahead. Could not get it, but again, it's crazy. I mean, Tyler Derrick said it in post game, and I kind of want to get to this because it's good for him to be able to say that was not only for him to be a leader, but also to say, look, it was definitely a tough game, and there's definitely a lot of stuff that we can improve on. But that's the biggest thing, is every single game we're going to improve to the point of where we are that elite team to get, well, most likely to a championship. So that's of course every team's goal, is to get to the championship, then win. But like, we go back to this game, it was true that we saw so much improvement in that second half for RGVFC from their young players. It was very impressive to say, look, this team, yes, they struggled. This was an upsetting game. I know, Edson, you completely had, even post-game reaction, still saying, this was a very mood point to me. This was basically what you were saying was, you were upset, didn't think that this was a positive reaction for a 1-1 draw. But at that same time, going a couple of days, you realize it and saying, compared to how bad this team looked in the first half, to how not in sync they were, to this second half, them stringing together passes, again, 79.2 on that, 79.2% long passes. Well, of course, they can always work on that because that was horrendous with the 58.7% rate. But once more, just you started to see that progress that this team, for their second team, has. And just like we know, once our first team starts to come back from injuries, this second team will be ready to step in at any time, just in case it's for an Open Cup match or something like that, to where they're ready to perform at the level of where the vets are. So that's always a positive sign to see of how much better they looked in that second half compared to the first, even though, yes, they did not get that second goal, but they were very close to getting it. So once that goal happens...
Are they, though?
Yes.
Are they? Because this is why.
If you're talking about inches from a goal, then yes, Ricky Ruiz works on his footing a little bit more with his
against Las Vegas, though.
Right,
against Las Vegas,
you're playing Oakland. That's not that big of a difference.
I do think it's a bigger difference. Oakland to freaking Las Vegas.
Oakland's gonna be 8th place. Watch.
Oh man, I don't know. I refuse to believe that. But another reason why I am pessimistic about this game, about this result, is that we continue to fall back into the mistakes from last year, which is the lack of accuracy in the shots. RGVFC had 15 shots, only 3 were on target. 3 were blocked. So you got 3 shots on target. You add another 3 that were blocked, right?
So if those aren't blocked, those are probably on target. So you can add 6.
It's not necessarily. I mean, it's not necessarily a given that it's going to be on target. But let's assume yes. Let's assume yes. Let's assume that all 3 shots that were blocked were on target. That's still less than 50%, right? But the fact that if we just go on the basis of what actually went on target, which was obviously the goal, a header by Frank Nadarce in the first half, and a shot from Wilmer Cabrera Jr. Those are the only 3 shots that went on target. That worries me, and I think that also worries because it also worried Wilmer Cabrera because he did talk about that. I'm not sure. Let me look at my notes if that is part of no. So it's not part of what we're discussing later on, but he did mention it on post-game conferences. We need to improve the shooting accuracy if we want to make it far in this season.
Yep.
Right? So I don't know. I still think that Cristiano Francois as a striker is not the way. I did see a little bit of glimpse of, let's say, some talent or not talent. That's not the word I'm looking for. But Wilmer Cabrera Jr. showed some glimpses of magic with his feints, with his dribbling in the second half to get himself an opportunity to take that shot, like I mentioned, that went on target. And there were other times where with that dribbling, he left some defenders behind and put himself in a position to either cross or get the shot, right? But I do understand as well that this was pretty much an improvisation due to the circumstance of your starters not being available for this match. But as I did ask Wilmer, what's going to happen? What is her reaction? How does he think whenever these players are going to be relied upon because of Open Cup or because of midweek matches? How he evaluated their performance. And yes, there was some improvement, but there is a lot that it still needs to improve to be able to be competitive compared to the first teamers, or at least what the first teamers that came back left after last season.
Yeah. I mean, that's always going to be a struggle. That's business. You're going to lose players. And not necessarily to injury, but you're going to lose players in the free agency. That's always going to be a struggle. But at that same time, yes, you do have to shoot on target. This was a circumstance unlike other circumstances we've had before. I mean, there's not much else to really say. Besides, I mean, I still believe what I believe. Yeah, of course, this team can definitely get better at shooting. Yeah, I really don't have much else to say.
Yeah. So everything was fine and dandy for RGV, keeping the proportions, right? Mm-hmm. Then in the last couple of minutes, we have to talk about Eric Pimentel.
Oh yeah, this is fun.
If y'all haven't seen the video that I recorded, or that I was invited by Ray Silva, South Texas Border Sports, to talk about my 3 questions, and I think I talked about it last week as well. One of the things that he asked me was, which player needs to use this season to kind of showcase themselves and be the best, give their best version, right? I said Eric Pimentel. And I said Eric Pimentel because Eric Pimentel was one of those players that is always getting yellow carded, makes some dumb mistakes defensively, as far as coverage or anything like that, or dumb red cards like he did last season. I don't remember if it was against San Antonio. I think it was San Antonio because it was a fierce battle. But it was a tackle where the Toros were losing, and he went with cleats up to the San Antonio attacker when the ball was already called dead. The play was already called dead, and in his intention, I don't know why he did it, but the play had already been called dead, and he goes studs up towards the San Antonio attacker, gets himself a red card in the process. These kind of dumb situations that Eric Pimentel somehow manages to get himself into. Well, Sunday was no exception, right? So what happened in that play? So Eric Pimentel, after a corner kick in the last minutes, I want to say it was like the 84th, 85th minute of the match, right? So RGVFC had a corner kick in their favor, right? So the corner kick gets executed, right? And Eric Pimentel, for some reason, he tried it in the first half before without, with unfavorable results. At that time, his shot sailed way wide of the goal when he attempted a scissor kick up in the air. Again, similar situation. A ball from out on the wing gets crossed in. He tries to go for the scissor kick. Terrible shot. This time, he goes for it in that corner kick. The defender is able to get to the ball first, and Eric Pimentel ends up kicking that player in the shoulder, which is a clear example of dangerous play that should be called as a foul when it comes to what the laws of the game dictate, right?
Yep.
So clearly you can say that it's a yellow card because it's dangerous play, right? So Puma didn't do himself any favors, because when the teammate of the defender that got hit comes up to him, getting in his face and telling him, like, what the hell, what the F is wrong with you, yada, yada, yada. Eric Pimentel gets up, pissed off, and chest bumps him. Obviously, the Las Vegas defender kind of exaggerates a little bit, right? It falls on the floor like he got shot or anything like that. But the thing of the matter is, why expose yourself into that situation? Right? You're supposed to be the leader. You're supposed to be the experience. That's not going to do you any favors. You're against time, and that's only going to cause further delay or get yourself in danger of getting a red card for aggressive conduct. Okay? So that happens, right? Puma gets a yellow for the foul for the dangerous play. Hasta ahí vamos bien. That's correct. That's what should have been. Okay? You know what? You already got the yellow. Just get back to your position, and let's try at another play to try to find the game-winning goal. You got the time against you, right? You can't burn the time like that. But what does Eric Pimentel do? He continues to argue with the ref. I don't know if Eric Pimentel cussed him out or if he made a gesture that mocked the referee. I don't know, because the freaking director of the broadcast decided to point the camera towards the defender that was still groveling on the ground, instead of seeing what was going on between the ref and Eric Pimentel. Which, by the way, that definitely needs to improve, because in that same play, while the corner kick was being executed, they decided to go do the replay of the previous play, and you end up almost missing the kick from Eric Pimentel on the broadcast. That cannot happen. If you thought Fox and NASCAR on Fox was bad, boy, let me tell you how it looked like for Saturday. But the point is that Eric Pimentel exposed himself to getting himself a second yellow, subsequently gets ejected from the match. You cannot do that.
Nope.
At all. He continues to do the same mistakes as he's done in the past 2 seasons that has been with RGVFC, and that is a huge no-no in my eyes.
I mean, I think it's great that he got sent off, Edson. I think it's wonders. But in all seriousness, what is there to say? This man does not know how to control his freaking emotions. Gets so pissed off so quickly, gets a yellow card, and doesn't know when to get a yellow card. Meaning there's always a way to be a jerk on the field the correct way. Every soccer player is always has that mentality of being that jerk on the field, but most of them know when to use it. Most of them know when to get in a rival's head so that rival can get ticked off and then end up fouling them. That's therefore being a benefit. Or, of course, channeling that inner emotion and saving a goal scoring opportunity, hence probably getting a yellow card. But guess what? That was tactically deserved and tactically worth you getting a yellow card or anything like that. I know I talked about it some on Sunday. I still hold that same thing. Eric Pimentel just loses his mind way too much for this team. Twice is way too much, by the way. And of course, he gets more yellow cards than any other player, I think, on this team. Of course, we had last year, it was Pimentel and Ikaza. But Ikaza, sometimes he would get a yellow or red card for no reason. And that was a whole other story. But going back to Eric Pimentel, that challenge was stupid. He goes up, he chest bumps another player. Guess what? That player sold it beautifully. It was on that perfect Sunday, too. The Oscar award goes to that Las Vegas Lights player. Congratulations to him. He well deserved it.
Brendan Fraser, who?
I hope that Will Smith gave him that award, too.
Will Smith would probably.
Will Smith
was probably Puma.
Somebody.
Will Smith was probably Puma.
Yeah, my bad, yeah. But my point of the matter is this man just gets yellow cards. He's not a player right now. He's not a veteran that RGVFC need. If he's going to do stuff like that, that is not somebody that RGVFC needs. And Eric Puma Pimentel, I hope he either gets better with that or he's gone halfway through this season and we have some other veteran replacing him, because right now that's embarrassing. It's the first game. He already has 2 yellow cards, hence a red card. Don't know if that erases his 2 yellow cards, but all of a sudden he's suspended against Oakland Roots, another team that, well, yes, I expect them to finish 8th, but that doesn't mean that they won't have a chance to beat RGVFC this weekend too. So it's a whole thing.
Yeah, and Puma, if you're listening to this, listen. We're tired of your shenanigans, honestly, affecting. If it didn't affect the rest of the team, okay, whatever. But you're affecting the rest of the team with these red cards, with suspensions because of the amount of yellows. You're supposed to lead by example, especially when you got all these younger players like Kinsner and Wahabakwe that are looking up to you. You're their example, and you do this kind of stuff. Fortunately, like I said, Las Vegas ends up getting a red card as well, but it's more justified for that player because he's a young player. He comes in the 80th minute, if I'm not mistaken, gets a yellow right away, and then in the 92nd, 93rd minute, he commits another foul on Gringo Torres, where it was blatantly obvious that he kicked Gringo Torres, gets a second yellow, and of course gets red carded. But it's more like I said, it's more justified because he's a young player. He's trying to prove himself. Went in with a bad foul, okay, whatever. But when you're a veteran and you're doing this kind of garbage, it's not justified at all. But I'm gonna let go of Puma Pimentel for this week because we need to continue talking about who our best player for this game was and who the worst player of the game was in our eyes. So Obviously, y'all in chat can go ahead and participate as well. But Jacob, who do you think was the best player for RGVFC in this match?
Best player for RGVFC has to be our goal scorer, Ricky Ruiz. Without him, we don't get that goal. Simple as that. And without him, we don't get another opportunity in on goal as well that just misses the target. Yeah, I think he was honestly the best player because he was just the attacker. I mean, I'd say Tyler Derek, but Derek didn't get a shutout because somebody who, well, I won't say just yet, but because yes, foreshadowing for the next question.
So Abraham says Ricky, and D the Demon, formerly known as DJK, says also Ricky Ruiz. I'm going to say Frank Nadarce. The man was on fire on Sunday when it came defensively. And it's a player that I criticized, if you all remember, last season. And said, he's not good. He shouldn't even be in the starting 11. Yada, yada, yada. The end of the season proved me wrong. And he continues with that performance. And this is why. Because Frank Nadarce had 5 clearances, 5 interceptions, 6 recoveries, and 3 out of 4 ground duels won. And he had some really good blocks as well in the first half when Las Vegas was at their best. He saved us multiple times from one-on-ones against the keeper. All right. So to me, Frank Nadarce for me is man of the match. If I look at FOTMob, you guys win 3-1. you guys win 3-1 in the vote, but he also wins in FOTMob. I want to say mostly also because of the goal, but he had a 7.9 rating, and Frank Nadarce had a 7.7 rating in FOTMob for this game. So I'm still stand with Frank Nadarce, but the experts at FOTMob say it was Ricky Ruiz. Like I said, because of the goal. So you guys went to that. My dad says, definitivamente Ricky, no solamente por el gol, pero por los movimientos de sacrificio a la defensiva. I noticed that, I want to say that Ricky looked a little bit off sometimes offensively, but yeah, he did have some sacrifice. I did mention multiple times in the first half, he was back there defending and when it shouldn't be his job. That should have been Taylor Davila as the center midfielder. But he was there when we needed him. So I guess in that point, my dad is correct as well regarding Ricky Ruiz. So now, other side of the spectrum, who do you think was the worst player for RGVFC in this match?
The worst player for RGVFC in this match, who scores another goal, but for the opposite team. Because, yes, again, we talked about it. That ball was going out of play. Deflects off of another Toro player in the back of the net because he shouldn't have been there. You're telling me he's not the worst player for at least this week for this game? Yeah, that's him. He didn't really make anything up for that. And, I mean, you can't really come back from giving an own goal. Yes, it's unfair to also give, if you're going to go this route too, it's unfair to give the worst player of the game award to Jonathan Ricketts, somebody who barely played because they had to get subbed off because of a stomach flu. So kind of Xing him off, you go to the guy who scored the own goal, being the worst player. Because
Taylor Davila.
Taylor Davila. Because you also say it yourself. You said it yourself, I mean, with Cabrera Jr. redeeming himself in the second half. So all of a sudden, Wilmer Cabrera Jr. is not the worst player in this game for RGVFC. It was Taylor Davila.
Okay, so D the Demon says, I forgot the striker's name, but he was my worst. So he's talking about Cristiano Francois. He was one of the worst. Yeah.
He was.
I want to say he was limited by the position that he was put in. and I guess when you want to say tactically, but yeah, he did not leave a good first impression playing as a striker. Improvisation, maybe, right? Like I mentioned before, I think it should have been Wilmer as the striker and Cristiano Francois as the winger, because that's where Cristiano Francois has usually played when he's been in the USL Championship and throughout his story. But I have to agree with you, Jacob. Taylor Davila to me is my worst. Abraham says, let me see. Abraham says, I think his name is Taylor Davila. Ray says, I feel like this is a whole overreaction. Remember, we had the privilege of watching the last preseason game, and AFC 2 had some hard tackling skills. We talked about that. And then D the Demon further explains, he barely made any movement as a striker. I agree with you on that. I feel he was too ecstatic. Ray continues, thanks to those tackles, I feel those built up some knocks. I talked about it, I think, a couple of minutes before. So one person also mentioned Taylor Davila. I want to say it was Abraham. D the Demon says Cristiano Francois. You say it's Taylor Davila. I also say it's Taylor Davila. Mm-hmm. So, did Tigres just score? No, Orlando scored, but it's still not enough for them. Fuera Chima. Anyway, so Taylor Davila on FOTMob has a 5.9 rating in this match. 85% accurate passing. Total shots, none of them on target. Accurate crosses, 0 out of 1. Dispossessed 2 times. 0 tackles, 1. 1 block, 3 clearances. 1 interception, 4 recoveries. 1 out of 4 ground duels, 1. 2 out of 2 aerial duels, 1. Obviously the own goal. And he had this terrible, I want to say it's this one. This was in the 7th, 8th minute of the game. Just look how terrible Taylor Davila was right after the goal. Okay, so there's the ball to Tomás Rotendale. Passes us the ball to Taylor Davila. Here's the high pressure. Was that supposed to be a backwards pass to Tyler Derrick? Like, really? That clip right there is Taylor Davila's performance in a nutshell on Sunday. Mm-hmm. I had high hopes for him, and this was just a bad first impression on my eyes. But yeah, FODMob does agree with the fact that this is he was the worst player for RGVFC in this game. We talked about someone mentioned Cristiano Francois, right? He was not according to FODMob, he wasn't that bad in the ratings that he got. Mm-hmm. The other closest was Eric Pimentel, then Jonathan Ricketts, and we already know why, and then Robert Coronado as well. Considering that he was in a position, I guess that he just never played it, or haven't seen him play it, right? Mm-hmm. But Cristiano Francois stats, he had 1 assist, so the goal by Ricky, they counted it as an assist, even though I think most of the play was created by Ricky Ruiz outside of that pass. But okay, but he statistically he does get the assist. 6 out of 8 accurate passes, 1 chance created, 1 total shot, 0 shot accuracy. That's bad though. Just 1 shot created, and you're the striker. Ooh, man. Mm-hmm. But it all goes back. He doesn't have the striker prowess. Like, he doesn't know where he should be, or maybe he would just use himself as kind of like to attract the marking for everybody else. We saw that in that Ricky Ruiz missed goal. That's exactly what happened. He attracted the marking for Ricky, but you also have to be the target man and get yourselves a shots on goal. 0 tackles, 1, but he's not a defender. Ground duels, 1 out of 4. Aerial duels, 1, 3 out of 5. Yeah, we saw that, especially when they try to go for the long ball. So I guess you could say, I mean, from what we saw, yeah, it wasn't really a good game by Cristiano Francois.
Yep.
Okay, so we already talked about that. Now we'll talk real quick about some of spot on, spot off, quema no quema ka. Just some of the more important quotes from the match, from the post-game press conferences. So this is Wilmer Cabrera, our head coach, on Wilmer Cabrera Jr. Okay, and he says he's been with the team since 2018, and then he went to college. Now he's a little bit more like a man. I think he needs to improve in his finishing. He has 3 or 2 opportunities that he could have done better. He knows that I'm going to be more critical with him than with anybody else. That's his problem. After all, he is going to be judged for what he does on the field. For us and for me as a head coach, it's easy. I'm going to see him on the field, and what he gives us on the field for the team is the way we're going to judge him. The way he's going to play, or wait on the bench, or has to be out.
Mm-hmm.
Spot on, spot off. Quema no quema ka.
Completely spot on. He's got to be better for sure. He's one of those players that just needs to be better. Do a better job in finishing and all of that. He has the experience now. I talked about it last week. I don't think I need to say much more because, I mean, Wilmer kind of said it for me too. He's here for a reason. Wilmer knows he can do more, and if that means Junior needs to be extra in his playing, then there you go. So I expect more from this man. He's not a kid anymore. And Wilmer's saying that exact same thing. I'm gonna be harder on him than anybody else because of course, if I were a dad, I'd want my kid to succeed and be the best he could possibly be, especially if I'm a head coach and he's on my squad. Yeah, I'm gonna be tougher than him on him.
And he has to work harder because obviously the biggest thing is going to be like, oh, well, he's the coach's son. So like we know that,
nepotism comes into play.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a big thing. So yeah, either way, it's just one of those situations where he's completely right. Wilmer's spot on.
What do you guys think in the chat? Do you agree or disagree with Wilmer? I agree. I agree with Wilmer Cabrera. You mentioned to yourself, it almost sounded like Wilmer Cabrera listened to last week's show and pretty much copied it, but changed a couple words here and there so it didn't make it obvious that he copied it. Because what you said last week was pretty much what he said in the press conference about Wilmer Cabrera Jr.
Yeah.
Then the question is going to be, is Wilmer Jr. going to make those improvements that his dad feels like he needs, or if he's going to be the same Wilmer Cabrera Jr. of, he may create some opportunities, but he's not able to be clinical, when he's in front of goal. Unfortunate because, he did make some improvements while he was at college, but as we've discussed before, this is college. This is not at the professional level.
Yeah.
It's a whole different ball game. But we hope that he continues to improve. D the Demon says Sikemaka. Abraham Moreno says that he agrees, and of course Ray says, which is why I asked on Sunday. That was a really good question, Ray. I have to give you that one because I think he explained a lot of things in that aspect. Will he be true to his word? Oh, maybe. Please don't tell me that Orlando scored a second.
Dude, we almost did. MLS almost scored a second goal on y'all, like barely missed. Wide open goal, red card on Tigres, 96th minute, and shot. And literally McGuire had a wide open goal, put way too much power on it, goes over the goal into the crowd. Full time goes, and then there's a big old brawl at the referee afterwards, even though it didn't make any sense. Red card was issued out to the head coach of Orlando. I want to say Orlando Pride, but that's not right. Orlando City SC. Mm-hmm. So yeah, crazy into the game. Congratulations to Tigres, but we all know what the real prize is. That is Leagues Cup. Get ready.
Okay. Fuera Chima, fuera Chima. That's all I'm gonna say. That is embarrassing by Tigres' standards to not win at freaking Orlando. We made it to the freaking final of the Club World Cup. That is not the level that we should be. But anyway, this is not a Tigres podcast. Going back. My dad says, dentro del terreno de juego se olvida la relación padre-hijo para el bien del jugador. Basically, he's saying, when you're on the field, forget that I'm your father, forget that I'm your son. You're just another player. And that's how he should be treated. So I definitely agree. Callow says, I want to say, he's talking to Leaks Cup. He says, Cash Scrap Cup. You're not wrong, Callow. You're not wrong.
It should be fun. It should be a blast.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens. Ray says, I see tears from Edson. Anyway, all right. So moving on. The second statement we want to analyze is some quotes from Tyler Derrick, excuse me, on his analysis of the game. You look alike. Don't lie. Don't lie to your fans.
I still don't see it.
Don't make me post the photo again this time on stream.
You know what? Do it right now. Do it.
Oh, you don't have to tell me twice. Let me just grab it from my.
I don't care. I don't see it. I really don't. You know what's gonna have to happen next time then at the press conference? JT's gonna hate us, but we might have to ask Tyler Derrick. Okay, can I stand next to you real quick? Do both of us look alike at this moment? Apparently, there's a possibility, but I don't see it. But yeah, I know a quote from Tyler Derrick basically, and let me see if I can paraphrase it. He said, "No, I can't."
I'll tell you right now. Let me just post the photo on here so y'all can be the judge of that, ladies and gentlemen. There you go. There you go, guys. How are they not twins? Outside of the blue eyes by Tyler Derrick, how do you look at this photo and not say they're twins? Like look at the chat, Jacob. It says, Callow says, why is Tyler Derrick denying he's on this podcast? You know what's funny, Callow? Is that Tyler Derrick, before we started asking him questions, because Shadow, who we give a huge shout out from all the way to Germany, he was actually on Zoom, for the press conference. And so JT tells him, oh, well, he is a podcaster from Germany. And Tyler Derrick says, it seems like everybody has a podcast nowadays. And I was like, hey, come on. Yeah. But yeah, I thought that was funny, Callow. Abraham says, dude, for real. D the Demon says, he does. For real, he does. Oh, God. The audience does not lie, Jacob. All right. There's a reason you nicknamed yourself Budget Tyler Derrick in the Down in the Valley messenger chat.
I played with the joke, but I still didn't believe it. I kid you not. And now all of a sudden everyone's saying
that's something Tyler Derrick would say to have people believe that he is not a podcaster either, and giving hot takes against his own teammates. But anyway, going back, Tyler Derrick says there's a lot to improve on. There's a lot of new faces out there. I think the style of play is just learning people's tendencies, just kind of being more knowledgeable about where the players are on the pitch whenever someone receives the ball. I think we're taking a bit too long to circulate the ball around the field. We were just a little bit too slow in the first half.
Oh, yeah. Very true. Very spot on by Tyler Derrick. Definitely a little too slow. Just in general, there's not much else to really say. I mean, he said it himself. It was spot on. We saw what he saw. And it was very frustrating because this team was, they just were not in sync in the first half. It goes back to what I said too. You have to move the ball well, and they weren't able to. And so, I definitely say spot on.
I agree too. There was an instance in the first half where I think it was between Tomás Rotindale and Robert Coronado. Robert Coronado receives the ball, and he's expecting for Rotindale to make the run behind him, right? And so he sends a through ball, over to him. But instead, Tomás Rotindale does not continue his run, and so the ball goes out of bounds. And you see both of them kind of arguing, well, why didn't you run? Or, well, I'm over here, why didn't you pass it to me over here? So that's where you see what Tyler Derrick is saying, that there was not enough chemistry there yet between these new players. He kind of joked around saying, that one of his first goals this preseason was to learn at least 5 names from the new players, but you see that where there is no, like you mentioned, they don't know their tendencies yet from these new players. So that's going to be a growing process. And there's just why I hope as well that we get our potential starters, or we get our starters back, like Pinzon, because it seemed like they already kind of knew each other well, what their tendencies were. And that should hopefully help them going forward into this upcoming game against Oakland Roots. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit real quick about them. We'll kind of give the thoughts that I saw about Oakland's last game against San Antonio FC per Jonathan Camo of the Oakland Roots blog. And then we'll give our predictions real quick before we end the show. So as you know, Oakland Roots had their game last Saturday at Toyota Field, where they played against the San Antonio FC. They lost. San Antonio won that game 3-1. 2 goals scored by Lamar Batista, who is on a 25-day contract. I find it hard to believe. One of the goals was scored by Nico Hansen as well. The second goal by Lamar Batista was from behind midfield, where he caught Paul Blanchet way up on the field and scored a really nice goal. The other one was also a scorpion kick too, which, by the way, I believe goal of the week. Now that reminds me, goal of the week, Ricky Ruiz is nominated for goal of the week. And I think last time I checked, Lamar Batista's scorpion kick goal was winning. So go out there and vote for Ricky Ruiz for goal of week 1. I believe that voting ends tomorrow at noon Eastern time, if I'm not mistaken. So go out there and vote for Ricky Ruiz for goal of the week. So some interesting things, like I mentioned, that I think we need to know about Oakland Roots, which will help figure out, okay, what does RGV need to improve. So Oakland Roots played a line of 5 against San Antonio FC. They're a high pressure team in that midfield. They try to go with that high pressure against San Antonio, but San Antonio kind of knew how to get past that high pressure with those long balls that straight went towards players like Nico Hansen to kind of go over that congestion in the midfield. Per the analysis of Jonathan Como, like I mentioned, of Oakland Roots blog, the man to watch for is Edgardo Rito out on the right side. So I want to say he's the right wing back for Oakland Roots, and he created a lot of danger for Oakland Roots in that game against San Antonio. Per his words, he should have had a minimum of 3 assists in that match had it not been that the strikers were not in their best, did not bring their best game to this game against San Antonio FC. He did also mention that Oakland appeared to struggle on set pieces. It could be a key to opening the door on Paul Blanchet. We also have to take into consideration Paul Blanchet. We know Paul Blanchet. We used to have Paul Blanchet at RGVFC. What was his biggest problem? And I've said it before. Psychologically, he defeats himself extremely easy. One mistake and he goes down like an avalanche. Like one mistake leads to another, leads to another, leads to another. And that was the reason why Pablo Blanchet was not successful with RGVFC. He seemed to have found a little bit more success with Oakland Roots, but he gets into that situation. If one mistake, he's too hard on himself and his performances suffer. So I hate saying this on a human level, but if RGVFC needs to take advantage of that situation and try to force mistakes on Paul Blanchet to kind of open the door for them as well into scoring goals against Oakland Roots. So based on all of this, Jacob, thoughts and what is your regular prediction?
Thoughts is basically, I think this Oakland Roots team will be a walk in the park. I honestly do believe it. I also believe that we will see one, if not two, players from the first team back. I think it's going to be one of those quick turnarounds. It's nothing too serious. If we do see them back, maybe not necessarily starting, but on the bench, which is why I feel like we'll have more success over like last week, and this being more of a walk in the park. And again, I felt like that second half, RGVFC took so much steps forward. Yes, it wasn't necessarily goal scoring, but again, you complete a lot of passes. You have more chemistry in this team. This team gets to practice a whole week after a game. Film, of course, session on that Monday. Then Tuesday, they practice what they needed to work on. Wednesday, doing a little bit more of that, a little bit interviews, if anything. Then Thursday, more practice. Friday, a little bit of a rest day, a little bit of training, but still that same deal. Saturday, probably that rest day instead of that Friday. But then, of course, Sunday is that game day. So I really do feel like that RGVFC will be better prepared against a tougher team. And we've seen it before in sports. This is why I think it could be a walk in the park. RGVFC all of a sudden, just in any circumstance where like one team, they're struggling against one of the worst teams in the league, and then all of a sudden they play one of the best teams in the league, and they are like 3 times better than they were a week ago, and they're playing lights out against this team that they shouldn't necessarily be playing lights out against. That's kind of where I'm coming from as well. So going back to it, I think 3-1 win RGVFC.
Okay, 3-1 win for RGV. Ray says 1-1 regular. And D the Demon says, I'm going to keep it real. If Wilmer Cabrera keeps us line up like that, we're going to probably tie. But if he makes a change, for sure, we're going to win at least 1-0. And I follow his sentiment. I think I said yesterday in the Striker Texas podcast, which just came out maybe like an hour ago, that if we get our starters back, specifically Christian Pinzon and Wahabakwe, I do think we have what it takes to get a win against Oakland Roots at home. I'm going to say a 2-0 win. If we don't, I really do think that we would lose against Oakland Roots.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah. We would be a 1-0 loss for me. But I'm going to be positive and say we do get our starters back. And I'm going to say 2-0 as my regular prediction. So bold prediction, Jacob.
Bold prediction, we go back to it being a little crazier. I'm going to say...
Before you say something, just want to let you know. Last week, you did not say anything about red cards, and red cards happened.
Yeah. Yeah, but to be fair, you played with 9 field players on both sides at the end of the game. That is true. Well, then we'll keep it the same way because I want to see some craziness, so I'm not going to say that we're going to see some red cards. But we are going to see a Tyler Derrick goal because the wind's going to be crazy. We're going to see my twin scoring a goal from a long ways away because of the wind on that side. It's going to push that ball forward. It's going to bounce over the keeper's head. Boom. In the back of the net, it crosses that line. And yeah, that's what we're going to see. Is one of those goals being that. It's still going to be the same scoreline, 3-1. But guess who ties the game up? And that's what brings everybody together to win 3-1. Derek.
3-1 with a Tyler Derrick
Yeah, a
goal.
little bit of rain
Okay.
too.
So Ray says bold prediction 2-0 win. I'm going to say my bold prediction is going to be somehow we don't get any of our starters back, and yet we win 3-0 with 2 goals from Wilmer Cabrera Jr. and 1 goal from Cristiano Francois. Playing the same way that they did in this game against Las Vegas Lights.
It's going to be 54 for a high on Sunday with rain.
Really?
Yeah.
That is going to be a stark difference from this week. We almost reached 100 during the day, and humidity was off the charts.
Yep. 60% chance of rain.
Well, that is going to be fun out for the fans. I don't know. Hopefully, it doesn't affect attendance, because reportedly this past attendance was 6,300, I believe. So that was pretty good. It's reported. As we know, those numbers are usually fluffed because it pertains, and I've said it before. It takes into consideration tickets that were sold or given out, not necessarily tickets that have been used or people up in the stands. But it was a considerable crowd to begin with.
San Antonio said that they were 8,000. So let's beat San Antonio and have some 9,000 in the stands in rain. Make this a European atmosphere because of that. Everybody showing up in rain. No one really shows up in rain in the Valley, but let's do it for now. And again, pack HEB Park, pack it. You can get to see different players, different coaches, and have some fun with your family. Play in the rain a bit. It's going to be great. Yeah, I'll let you speak, but yeah, pack HEB Park.
I'm just sad that Chuy Enriquez isn't with Oakland Roots anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We can't see Rat Tail.
Yeah, I don't think he signed with anybody. Neither has Cello for that matter. So I wonder what their future's going to be. D the Demon says bold 2-0 RGV, yellow card to Gringo Torres. And then Abraham Moreno says Jacob is really going bold. Oh yeah. If there's one thing that Jacob does best is bold predictions. And that's because he's only using 30% of his power right now. But
yeah, there could be a lot of wind because it's probably gonna be cold.
Yeah, because we got
54 for a high, 52 for a low plus rain.
Yeah, because
good chance. Yeah.
Well, the cold front comes in on Friday, and usually ahead of the cold front is where we have most of the wind coming through. But well, it is possible. I mean, let's see how strong this cold front is, because I know it was stormy actually yesterday, and that's gonna be another thing. If this cold front is gonna be if this cold front is coming in on Friday, is anything like this cold front that came in these last couple of days where there's been lightning going on? Hopefully we don't go and run into this. I don't want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the game ended. 1 a.m. Oh, that was terrible. Ray, I'm sorry you had to live through that.
Oh boy, 3 a.m. soccer's on. Yes.
It's like to quote that episode of SpongeBob. It's like, who watches soccer at 3 a.m.? Oh boy, 3 a.m.
Oh boy, 3 a.m. To be fair, we're gonna be doing that this summer anyway, so.
Well,
the Outlaws will be in full effect.
Callo says 50 isn't cold. You can trust me. I'm Canadian. He is.
Well, dude, we're from South Texas. I understand you have Canadian blood.
Okay.
We're South Texas, dude.
He lives in Houston, though, so he is used to the hot weather as well. So he's seen both. So we can't say you're like. Because I was about to say, 80 degrees isn't hot. But then I remember, yes, he lives in Houston. So he's been with the high humidity. He's been with the high heat already for many, many years. So he's the voice of experience when it comes to weather.
Forgot you're Canadian. You say out different. I'm sorry.
God damn it. Jacob, are you trying to get us canceled? Mike says bold prediction. Paul gets a red card. Excuse me. It would be cool if you get a red car. Okay. Would it be a Nissan? Would it be a Chevy? Would it be a Cadillac? Well, I don't think Bert Ogden has a Volkswagen
it's not
dealership.
Bert Ogden. No, it's that's Payne.
Yeah, that's Payne. But no, he says bold prediction. Paul gets a red card for an ugly slide in the first half, and we win 5-1. Going back with mistakes from Paul Blanchett. It is possible, but it is bold prediction. My favorite game to cover was that Tulsa game, says Ray, the one where it ended at 3 a.m.
Gosh.
Oh, yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I can't imagine.
I was not there at the game because we were celebrating my sister's birthday, but we were and we were up that late playing games and all of that, and I had the game on, or I was gonna have the game on, but it was just delay. And I ended up
crazy. That game's coming up on 3 years.
3 years already?
Yeah.
God damn, how time flies.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But guys, that's going to be it for today. I want to thank you all for tuning in today. If you guys missed any part of this show, be sure to check out the video archive or check out the audio podcast on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, Amazon Music, TuneIn Radio, or wherever your favorite podcasting platform is. I want to thank everyone who participated today in our chat. We've obviously our mod Callow, Abraham, Mike Reyes, D the Demon. I remember seeing Harry at the beginning as well. My dad Javier Jasso. Who else did I see? And I think that's about Abraham Moreno as well. By the way, Abraham, thank you. I appreciate you. Abraham says all the new listeners are probably thinking Tyler Derrick really has some strong opinions of his own team. You know what would be funny? Jacob? You know how in NASCAR you've got Denny Hamlin with his own podcast, who, by the way, got penalized for using his own podcast to say that he did. We're saying that he did crash Chastain intentionally.
Yeah.
You know what? It would be funny if one or two of RGV's players created their own podcast and started talking about this team.
Well, yeah, it would be funny in retrospect until they start to do it, and then all of a sudden you see like players taking pictures with different players because they have their own podcast talking crap about each other. And then all of a sudden this locker room is divided into 4 squares. Then it's like, oh, yeah, that was fun. Now it's not. Now this team is undivided.
You know, you bring up a good point, actually. I did not think about it like that. But I'm pretty sure it'd be extremely limited by media relations as well. Like, and of course the USL with guidelines of what they can or cannot say, in any of the content that the teams provide. So, I think I don't think it really would work because, unlike in NASCAR where, you can say all you want, you just have to be fined. And the teams pretty much don't really have that initiative to kind of limit the drivers on what they say. I think it's a lot more in soccer, especially in the USL. I think it's a lot more of a tight grip that the league has over the content created by the team themselves, or even what the players post on social media too. So I do think that idea wouldn't work, but I think it'd be funny though, and I think it would probably put us out of business, to be honest, because then I'm pretty sure it'd be like, oh yeah, don't listen to these guys at the Down in the Valley podcast. They're all full of shit, blah, 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 with all these bad hot takes. Can you imagine if Jerson Echeverry did a podcast? Oh man, now he would constantly be grilling us so bad on that show.
He'd be grilling you. Him and I are on good terms. Let's be real.
Oh, okay, fine. It would probably be me, but
it'll be Jerson Echeverry. You know who his co-host would be, right?
Wilmer Jr.
Close.
Well, Rafa's not with the team anymore. He's in Houston and now with a soccer academy.
Well, still, imagine that.
Oh my God, I'd be. Oh man, I'd probably be.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'd probably be roasted week in and week out. Oh man, that would not be fun. Callo says my bold prediction is it will snow in Texas, somewhere in Texas on Monday. I think they're saying North Texas is going to get some snow, so I guess we'll see what it is. So stay tuned to the Weather Channel for that kind of information. Or better yet, be sure to check out Space City Weather if you live in Houston. All weather, no hype. And I was obviously not paid for this advertisement. But anyway, guys, that's going to be it. Thank you all for your support. Jacob, before we go, any final thoughts and where could they find you?
Final thoughts. Looking forward to this Sunday. It should be a crazy one. We just saw the weather, so it's going to be even crazier. Probably a lot of sloppy play. But other than that, yeah, where can y'all find me? Twitter, Jacob Young 456. That's where I do most of my takes. What else? I guess Twitch. Yeah, I'll try to stream on Twitch here soon. The Overreacted Gamer. I'll post some stuff on YouTube. Stay tuned for the big old vlog this not this weekend, but a week from Friday, which I won't obviously post it on Friday, but stay tuned for that on the Monday after a week from Friday, because that should be a fun weekend. Other than that, you could probably find me on Facebook, Jacob Young, and then y'all have figured out how to find my Instagram, so I'll just let y'all do that.
And of course, you can find me at Ochoa_8 on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. I don't have TikTok. I use the Down in the Valley to get my limited TikTok fix. I'm not a fan of TikTok, but I guess that's what the young kids are using nowadays. So I have to create some Down in the Valley content on there for the youngins.
Yeah, that's good for you. Stay off of TikTok. It is too addicting. That's all I can say.
Well, if my sister's any indication, yeah, it's addicting. Callo says no TikTok, boomer. Yes, Callo. I'm a boomer. I love 80s music. I hate modern pop music. I am your typical boomer. I was just born in the wrong generation, and I am not being sarcastic. I honestly believe that I was born in the wrong generation.
Yeah, I was born 99. So I'm not technically a Zoomer, and I'm not technically a boomer, and I'm not technically whatever is right in the middle of that too. So it's pretty hilarious of where I'm at, but I can act like both in an instant too. So that's pretty great.
D the Demon says real quick before we go, hopefully I can see you guys at the game on Sunday. Yeah, dude, I will probably be just a couple of minutes with the Stampede. So you be sure to head out there to the Stampede tailgate. They do have food. They do have drinks. So if you're interested to join the Stampede, go ahead and talk to Mike or talk to anybody that's there, and they will let you know how you can join the Stampede and be part of the supporters group. And I hope to see you there. If not, I will be kind of saying, I'm going to be, I don't know, maybe at the bar area or something like that. Because usually in the game, we're up there at the press box, taking a look at and analyzing the game. Yeah. But guys, thank you so much for your support. We will see you all next week for another episode of the Down in the Valley podcast. Take care, and let's go Toros. Let's win on Sunday.